Hey everybody, this is my first time. I am thewifeexpert.com. My name is Laurie, and I am a virgin to this, but I've been asked to do it over and over again, and I decided to bring on someone who I absolutely adore. I'm going to introduce him right away. He is sitting right in front of you. He is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I ran into him twice at this building where I belong to, and he just like oozes kindness and happiness and joy. And I was connected to him and I wanted more of him. Who is this guy? What does he do? And I wasn't even sure, but I'm not even sure now. And I called this a blind date today because I was like, I'm just gonna have him on and ask him questions because I do know he's got a business. He's kind of like a coach. He trains businesses, and he also is married a long time. So, Paresh, do you want to say hello?
Hey, hey, how you doing, Laurie? Good to be here and talk about positivity, right? My screen is you're radiating as well. So welcome.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
and, and that's exactly what I want from you today. I want to hear, because most of the women I coach, and men, I coach a lot of men, they come to me because they're sad. Their spouses have left, they've had a breakup, and they just need to feel better again. And they need some hope that life is going to turn out okay. And when it was recommended that I speak to you, I was like, of course, Paresh would be perfect. So, can you tell me a little bit about your marriage now? How long you been married?
Eliza and I have been married this July 34 years.
Dude, that's a long time.
It's a long time. It's a very long time. It's a
And
very
she
long
was your
time.
first marriage.
Yeah, yes, she was my first marriage.
How
Yes.
old were you when you married her? So I can do the
Uh,
math.
we got married at
Just kidding.
23. She was 22 and I was 23.
Okay, and what made you marry her?
I fell in love with her very early.
Yeah, well, what did you like about her?
Her presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her light, her light, her light.
Yeah, she had a light.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been married 34 years.
Yeah.
And during that time, like, has it been all rosy?
It's funny you asked because I just had this bowl next to Buddha and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure whether it was ice cream left over or so I took it out of the scene and it's actually rose petals that Eliza had put together and it has not always been rosy. It has not always been rosy. I don't know anyone who has had a relationship that has not always been rosy. That has always been rosy.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, right. And
it's
so
not always,
you,
yeah.
how do you get through that?
I have an incredible partner who is
So she's an
patient,
incredible partner. Is it her who's
incredible partner.
guiding you?
We guide each other. We guide each other. It's a really great tag team. Is one of the good things about being in partnership with someone is you don't nut out at the same time. And that always stuck with us is you don't nut out. Like if when one of us is nutting out, um, then the other one is hopefully there. Both nutting out together, that's tough, and that happens. So that's something that Eliza and I were just talking about yesterday.
So are you saying nut out, N-U-T or
Nut
N-U-D?
out, like don't go nutty. Like don't like when one
Oh,
of you like yeah, don't go nutty. Don't go
I thought you
nutty.
I thought you
What did you
meant
think?
not out.
Oh, that well, I guess that too. I guess that would be a different kind of marriage if you're both like, oh, this is so fun.
I'm done.
Okay. Hey, wake up. Yeah. Not
Yeah,
tonight.
okay.
Not tonight. I'm nodding out, honey.
I love that. So,
That is funny.
but
Yeah,
that's a really
he
good
meant
point.
everyone goes through their emotional swings and what life gives us and what we create. And a lot of it is often associated with our internal dramas and our internal stories. And that's another avenue that Eliza and I spend a lot of time um, understanding, exploring, um, teaching others how to explore is how these stories that we carry, the meaning that we apply for something that had happened to us when we were a child. We reflected on our partner, and we've actually done a lot of work in therapy around that, to really take our relationship to whole different levels. And yeah, we nut out. We get nutty often because of our personal dramas, our repetitive um, creations, let's say, and the other person being, the stable one, the one who can still see true north. That's a real gift versus doing the work um, in isolation. Doing just being in your own space. I have a lot of friends and students in my yoga and teaching and coaching world. Great students, and they're for whatever reason alone, and doing the inner work alone um, is very difficult uh, compared to having a reflective. It could be a partner, or it could be someone within some sort of a tribe of yours. It doesn't have to be a live-in partner. It could be a fellow dude who you surf with who gets you, or so doing the inner work in partnership uh, is it's pretty fun and it's
But
hard.
isn't it hard? Like, because the women I talk to, the husbands, they're together, and then the husband says, I don't love you anymore. And the belief is that they can't love the other person because they don't love themselves. And the inner work
Mm.
needs to start.
Is that
But
what
they
you
have a,
help your is that what you help your clients with?
yeah,
Is
it's so funny you don't know this. So I help women whose husbands have left. I help men
okay,
whose wives have left. And
okay,
it's finding the balance to stay because that other person, data shows, comes back and checks back in. So it's keeping that person who was left behind sane so that they don't
yes.
go, I'm
They
divorcing
don't.
you, and they don't react to
Right.
the
Right.
leaving
That's what we
part.
well, that's what we talk about going. Having being very
The nut
reactive.
out. Don't
And
nut
nut out.
out.
Don't nut out. Right. And we
Don't
do,
nod.
we get
Please don't nod.
don't nut out. Yeah. Okay. I see. And when you
So
say that
I'd
they
like,
left, it's not necessarily like an amicable. Is it like often a surprise?
it's a
Um,
surprise.
it's often a surprise in the
Yeah.
scenarios where you.
Yeah. It's called the midlife crisis. And they will suddenly be like, you know, there's this girl at work that I met, and I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm moving out. Or they explode and they blame their wife or husband for all these things that are wrong in their house, and they're just not happy. And they walk out the door. And the other
Mm,
person behind is going, just happened.
yeah,
And
and that would be
they,
heartbreaking.
you
It
know,
would. It would.
it's
Yeah. It'd
horrific,
be heartbreaking. Horrific.
horrific.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It would.
my question to you, since you know about this, is what would you advise somebody whose husband wants to leave, but desperately needs to figure himself out, and she wants to help, but he doesn't want her help? What do you think she could do to guide him back to being unnutted?
Unnoticed. That's a great question. Um, there's a scenario where it's actually a familiar scenario with some folks that I know, someone who I know, and um, here's what comes. You often think it's going to be a breakup, and because of the pain each person feels, or the shame or the hurt, then it becomes like it just becomes like, I'm sure you've seen it where the hurt just kind of fuels upon hurt, and then the ability to reconcile becomes more and more difficult because of the way that it happened. Um, I think the idea of, giving the partner, like, yeah, go do your work. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be here 6 months, a year, or whatever from now. Um, and it's hard to sometimes accept help when you're in this type of scenario from with a partner because their help may be misconceived as controlling or wanting to change you
Yep,
and things
that's
like
it.
that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I think um,
So in
understanding
your
that,
work,
mm,
in your work that you do with
mm.
people to get them to find themselves or get out of their shit. Can I say that? How do you do that when you do, how do you do that with a partner? Like, because you said it's great to have a partner to work through that. Like, how do people do that? How do you teach people to do that?
So much of it, Laurie, is the inner work. So much of it is the inner work. One could argue all of it is the inner work. All of it is the inner work. It actually
What does
is.
that
It's
mean? What does that mean? Like,
like
what do you, how do you start?
examine your stories.
Oh yeah, tell me
Um,
about that. What's my story? Like, what is the story?
hmm, we're made up, or at least we think we're made up of our thoughts and this accumulation of ideas. And so, like when we teach yoga or mindfulness, a lot of it is around just observe your thoughts and don't attach to them. Don't log into the, oh, that feels like when my dad wasn't there for me on my Boy Scout thing and that hurt. And then attributing other experiences to that sensation and that feeling and that emotion, and then creating meaning around it. Um, and so the stories that we carry are often ill-informed. They come from a perspective that um, uh, if shifted, doesn't need to suffer. You don't need to suffer that anymore. So, for instance, I'll give you a simple example that worked for me when I heard it. So, I went to the series of workshops by Landmark. Are you familiar with Landmark Education?
Yeah, I did
Landmark.
it.
You did it. Okay, so I've gone.
I did.
So, which ones have you gone? Have you gone to the forum?
Yeah, the
Or
first one. Yeah.
yeah. So we are meaning making machines, right? We make these meanings and
Meanings,
yeah, like we
meaning.
meaning
Why?
like
Yeah.
stories, right? So like for instance, there was a story that there was a someone who shared in my class where she like hated her mom and was like she was never loved and and just like the pain had torn her up and she was weary, like her visage was weary with this pain that she had about her mom. And it was triggered in particular by and that day we were taking this road trip, and I might have been acting up. And she basically said, "Get out of the car." And she left me on the side of the road. And people are like, "Oh my God, how horrible. What a horrible mother."
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then, we have our little break to go, okay, everyone, write your little love notes to your parents. You've got 10 minutes to call them and say, hey, mom, I'm sorry I was such a jerk to you, and you've got to do your homework. So she had her call with her mom as our homework, between breaks and such. And her mom was like, honey, that was in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom or dad was like, honey, that was in the garage. And so that thing imprinted a story of not love, left alone, abandoned, powerless. That child says, I need to protect myself against that feeling. It doesn't feel good. And a lot of the root of it is the feeling of separation from one another because we are all, the one. Um, and so that pain then, you basically, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to feel that again. And so then that story just repeats again and again and again and again and again until you heal it. And that's kind of how the universe it works is you live in the story gets delivered to you so you can face the story and go, you know what? I need to just heal that. And while it happened and something may have been tragic or hurtful or horrible, etc., the meaning attributed to it, I'm not going to um, log into that. I'm not going to subscribe to that. And when I say like subscribe, one of the things that works for me in my meditation practice is like if you have a thought, I'm not good enough. You go, okay, what does Netflix cost these days, Laurie? Like, do you subscribe to HBO Max, Disney Plus? Like,
15.95.
15.95, right? Okay, so here's a little thing you can share with your clients to go, that little thought, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm powerless, or here I go again. You go, okay, do you want to subscribe to that? 15.99 a month. You can subscribe to that whole story and thought. Go for it. And you can give it energy and you can give it attention, and it will show up again and again and again, like lather, rinse, repeat in your life until you're able to heal of it.
And how
So
do you heal of it? What would you
you
tell
tell
someone
me,
how?
what do you tell your clients? Yeah, how do you do it?
So,
How do
well,
you
I
heal of
use
it?
analogies, and it's weird because my analogies sometimes come out of nowhere. Like just
Mhm.
recently, I started talking about how, our brains repeat. They say the same thing over and over again. And imagine looking out of a car window and it just being dirt and muck on there. Well, you just twist on the windshield wipers and it goes, kush, kush, kush,
Hmm.
kush. Now it's clean again. And you can't go back on where's the dirt? Let me get more dirt. Let me roll the car. You just
Why
have to
would you
keep
do that?
going.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
forge on ahead. Forge on ahead. Alanis
So,
Morissette in that car. I always
yes.
see her, with her little four little versions of her charging ahead. It's like rain
Oh,
on a
yeah. On a
wedding,
windy day.
and then her
Yeah.
little friends in the back. It's a free ride, and it's just, you got to just go on ahead. Go on ahead. I
Charge
met her.
ahead.
She's amazing. She's amazing. I met her.
Yeah.
She gets
Wow.
it. She really gets
Yeah.
it. You
I was
know,
in love with her for a long time. I never stalked her, but I was in love with her.
yeah, yeah,
Just her
yeah.
music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but she gets
The
the
other,
stuff we're talking about. She's very much, she understands, like, this, what this thread, she calls this sort of continuity and thread in the universe, this truth, this underlying rhythm, consciousness, whatever we would call it. She's really tapped in to that, and uh, she,
so what,
like, her songs are like, all these stories about, you did this to me, you did this to me, and I want to claw your back and scratch your nails, and you did all those things, right? These are stories, and we can, we can heal from them. They're painful, and we can heal from them, and sometimes they're really misinformed from a hurt place.
yeah. So what do you do? How do you teach people to get over that hurt that is causing the story to keep coming back? Do you have a little
Um,
trick?
yeah, there's some tricks, or practices. One of them is to, how Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now is, advocates, be the witness, just be the witness. Or there's a great book called The Untethered Soul by Mark
Hmm.
Singer. You just watch yourself, watch your thoughts, and know you're not you. You're not your thoughts. You're not that voice in your head that's saying, you know, you know, dude, don't wear the hat, wear the hat. Like, you're not any of that stuff. You're really the watcher, the witness of all of this stuff, of this drama that's going on. It's hilarious, right? You can't make this shit up sometimes what happens in life. It's an adventure. Um, and so, one of the practices that I recommend is when your thoughts come, whatever they are, just for 2 or 5 minutes, don't care. Just don't care. And again, and it's like, oh, you know what? I have to prepare dinner tonight. Don't care. Oh, I love my mom. Don't care. It's like, oh, how can you not care about your mom? Just practice not caring about anything. Don't care about the story, because we like to log in and get the hit of that feeling again, because it's a familiar feeling. And you just go, I don't care. I don't care. Oh, my hip hurts right now. I don't care. I don't care. And just practice not caring about your thoughts, because that's a way of not logging in. It's kind of like skipping through, whatever. I was just at my dad's place. He has like 800 channels. I'm like, don't care, 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 Shark Tank. Don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care, CNN,
I thought you
war.
would have cared about
Don't care,
that
don't care,
show.
don't care. My dad likes Shark Tank, and it's one of the
I would
things
have
that we
thought you
kind of,
would.
yeah, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. And I don't enjoy it because, I feel that people shouldn't be sharks. Uh, like, I'm all for the entrepreneur. I'm all for the Lauries. I'm all for the wives who pick up and have to, build their income back up, and they're often entrepreneurs. There's so many around here. We have co-working space of amazing businesses that are started, and so, I'm all for the entrepreneur, and, the kind of, I, and it's a show. It's a show, and these folks are amazing. Um, but I just don't like seeing. people's dreams getting ripped apart in front of millions. It's like I'm always for the entrepreneur. I'm always for the entrepreneur who puts their guts and heart and their pennies into their dream. And
So
it's hard sometimes. So, but my dad and I were like, take the offer, you idiot. He's like, she should be an idiot if she doesn't take it. And we kind of have our little, ask for 5% more. And then Mark Cuban goes, 5% more. And we're like, yeah.
yeah, he's a toughie. He's a good guy. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so let's go back to your marriage again. On the days when things aren't going well, or you might be mad at her, she might do something to upset you. Is that what you do? Change,
Do what?
uh, not care,
Change
not
the
care?
channel.
Uh-oh.
I go surfing.
Oh, I'm like, whoa, he dropped his camera. Okay, you go surfing because that's something you're passionate about and that's something you enjoy and that's yours.
Yes. And my friend Pac, who runs the El Porto surf shop here in El
Hmm.
Porto in Manhattan Beach, he's amazing. You actually may want to have him on at some point. Um, he described it the other day when we were talking about meditation and mindfulness and consciousness and just, really having peace. And he says, what we love about surfing, Paresh, is it's the ultimate expression of personal liberty. I'm like,
Mm,
yeah. And it is, right? So if you feel that your partner is constraining you, which and I have felt that at times, and often it's my own insecurities, frankly, it is. Um, then for me, uh, having other outlets for um, you know expressing yourself and enjoying. I play music. I'm in a rock band, and so I was just at
yes, you
Unita
are.
last night. I was in Unita last night until 5 in the morning playing my guitar because I had not played it in a month. I was over on the East Coast with my dad, and I missed my surfboard and I missed my guitar. And so I told Eliza last night at 10:30. I'm like, honey, good night. I'm gonna go over. Ruben and the gang and I met uh, to do a bunch of work from like 10, no, from 9 to about 11:30, and we crushed it because we can be hyper productive. There's this whole when you're not caught up in your thoughts, you can be hyper productive. Like
Right.
just get everything done in like a couple hours. So we had a bunch of stuff flow, and then they're like, "You going home now?" I'm like, no, I miss my guitar, and I'm gonna plug in because it's like a girlfriend. It's really like a girlfriend to me, and I plugged it in downstairs, and I turned it up to, I blasted it where the whole building was shaking, and it was and it was phenomenal. It was
So,
phenomenal until
so
five
you
in the
said
morning, and Eliza,
it,
yeah.
it's better that you have a guitar than a girlfriend. But my question to you is, when you're walking out the door at 10:30 and she's going to bed and she probably wants you there next to her, what does she say to you as you're walking out the door?
Um, have fun. Have fun. Because she knows it energizes me and it's very healing. It's healing. And I don't do it all the time. However, like our one of the folks who works for us, she's also on a schedule like me. She's a friend of mine who's also a vampire. And so like I can call her at 1 o'clock in the morning and go, I just had a great idea for that client thing. And she's like, we're on it. Let's do it. And then we can talk about, hey, how was that Judas Priest concert we went to a month ago? She goes, yeah, I was just looking at those pictures. And so to me, I don't know, I'm kind of blathering on
So, but it does
the
when,
ability to have the space for
yeah,
your own
that's what it,
expression of personal liberty. To
how
me,
does that, what does that make you feel?
it's
Or how does it make you feel?
alive,
Yeah,
alive,
yeah.
and childlike and just joyful. And because often, we've been together for a while. The responsibility part of like this is like your girlfriend or like your boyfriend or girlfriend and it's your pal and then you have all these responsibilities which kind of changes things um, and then being able to have that kind of uh,
Freedom?
freedom I guess yeah so what do you find with your clients the ones do the ones who have been left or be to build their lives back up. What do they feel about that freedom question?
It's hard. because they think if I let him have freedom, he won't come back. And we know the answer to that. If you, he has freedom anyway. He had freedom being married to you, not being married to you. We all have freedom. We all have free will.
Mm.
And so he has the freedom to do whatever the heck he wants to do. Truthfully, he could have sex with 20 people if he wants to. You don't like that. You don't want that. You can't stop someone from doing that. You have choices of your own.
Mm.
But at
Choices.
the end of the
Choices
day,
is the key
we have
word,
choices.
Laurie. Choices. Choices.
But we,
In
we
fact,
can't
in fact,
control anyone else.
in fact, Eliza used that word when we were talking about this couple that we know, and it was a while back, and the fellow was going through a hard time, um, and his partner had been there for a long time. It was always like this uh,
Rock.
very a rock, yeah, yeah, and the individual seemed to be going through a midlife crisis as well,
What
and
happened?
I was like, man, I feel bad for for the spouse because
Hmm.
this individual doesn't handle um, whatever being out of his A game well. He doesn't handle being out of his A game well because we're very achievement oriented sometimes, and that's going to be quite the toll on this other person who we also love. And actually, Eliza said it in a very matter-of-fact way that put a chill up my spine, I have to say. She goes, well, she has choices. And I was like, what? Like immediately, it's like she has choices. I was like, you mean she might? She's like, well, he has to grow up. And it was really the word. I'm not. And she said, I was like, leave him? And she's like, no, she has choices. She has choices. And the way that she said it was something was very thundering in my soul when she said that, which is like, she has choices. She can choose
So
to stay,
tell me more about the
stay.
thunder in your soul. Tell me more about the thunder in your soul.
I don't want to go. It's like, wow. It's like she has choices, right? And it's like, it's a bit of like, wow. Uh, I take for granted some things.
Mm,
I take for granted some things. Um, when someone's always there for
always
you,
there.
for the children, always there, right? And it's like, wow, yeah, and it's true. Both the men and women have choices, and self-care is really, this gets back to what we're talking about. It's the self-care, the self-love, feeling worthy. I have many students uh, who um, like that's their edge is feeling worthy of love on both sides, men and women, um,
Hmm.
and being able to receive it. And receiving is a hard thing for humans. Receiving is a very difficult thing
Why
to
do you think that
allow.
is?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, no
I,
insight
I,
there.
I don't. Well, we're trained to be givers. It's better to
Yeah.
give than receive. Actually, this is another Eliza wisdomism, and it's someone she was talking to, one of her family members. So to your question of why do you think it is, we're trained to be giving, like give to people, give, give, give. We should be givers, right? There's a book, The Giver, right? There's not a book called The Receiver, The
Yeah,
Taker,
there's a taker. There's not a receiver,
right? And so
right?
we're taught to go, you know what? Take care of everyone. Take care of your little sister. Take care of the elderly. Take care of the homeless. Take care of the children. Take care of your wife. Take care of your husband. Take care. And then there is an egoic pride often in society around kind of showing off how much we give. either subconsciously or consciously, because it helps us sometimes absolve our own guilt and, you know, uh, sense of the privilege that we have in some way of being able to give. And uh, so it is better to give than receive is what we are um, uh, taught and told. And Eliza had me ponder this, which is, well, maybe not. Maybe it's better to receive. And then we're like, actually, if we're being vessels to give, it's better to receive so you can be an outflow for the inflow of
Yeah.
that gratitude, of that love, of that energy, of whatever the divine is kind of moving through you. And I think it sounds like it's selfish, but it's actually not, because if you can allow and receive, then you can be an outlet for the inlet of whatever the universe spirit is flowing through you, and you don't get depleted. Because if you're giving from just your own substance, your own abundance, your own whatever attachments or collection, then it's limited and can be depleting. However, if you're giving of the universe and just the infinite flow, then it's better to receive first so you can give,
Yeah.
and then it's refreshing and nourishing, and you don't get depleted.
So where do you think someone could get if they don't have a husband? Where are they getting from? Where does that where do you receive? What are you receiving? Like where do you start? Like
Ocean, flower, puppy,
puppy. Oh,
puppy,
puppy.
puppy,
Yeah. That
puppy.
that that's really good. Yeah.
Um, Friends who um, don't fuel their story and go, yeah, and he was that too, and he was that too, or she was that too, and she was that too. That doesn't help, because then you're logging in with your 13.99 or per month to then get that same replay and drama. That same series is going to play again and again um, in your experience in life. It just works that way. Um,
Yeah. That's really
so,
interesting. Okay. I'm glad we went there.
so what do you
Hey, so
what? So yeah.
wait, no, ask a question.
So what's the first when someone comes to you, they're broke. I mean, it's getting back to the self-care. They're likely heartbroken.
Mhm.
They've been through a horrific experience. So how do you help them with this self-care, self-love, healing thing before they? I imagine that you have some sort of like they have to heal themselves like first before they can start vision boarding and creating their new, architecting their new world for themselves. So what do you do to help them kind of set that foundation? Because you have to build it on a healed foundation.
Uh, you're exactly right. It's slowly because every time you start talking about them, they go, but he, so they're stuck on this external thing that's caused them such pain. So
Yep.
we have to take that out of it first. And
Hmm.
so once I get them to a place where this is comfortable, then I go to them because they can't control this. And so
Can't
understanding that they
control
can't,
what? Can't control what?
him, you can't control anyone else but yourself.
That's correct. That's correct.
So but in the beginning, it's I allow, he wouldn't, he doesn't, and da 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 da. And it's so confusing because it's been that way for so long, and suddenly it shifted and he just left. So what
It builds
happened?
up. It builds up.
Hmm.
Men,
Yeah. And,
men. I don't know. It's I can't speak for all men or anything.
but compared to me, you're halfway there. Because
What do you mean?
I'm clueless. So you said I can't speak for men, but you can. So, on that note, stay right there. On that note,
I
can
can't
you
speak
answer
for
me?
men.
You can.
Can't
You
speak. I can only
are.
speak of my own experience. I can
You
speak for
represent.
like yeah.
But so, Paresh, stay here with me. What is it, in your opinion, since you kind of know the species, what is it when a man gets married? What does he want from his wife? Just in
Oh
general.
Lord, I can't answer
Five
generally. I
things.
can't
Five
generally. I
things.
cannot generally answer that. Oh man. I mean, when I got married very young, and I was just uh, I don't know when a man gets married, what do they want?
Or what do you want now? What do you hear your friends want? How about that? Like other guys that you're out with or hanging out playing music together. What do they
mhm.
complain about? Like, gosh, I really wish my wife did this. Gosh, I really wish my wife did that. Just curious, because I know a lot of women and men are
Sometimes
listening.
some of the themes sometimes are in the areas of adventure.
Adventure.
We yeah, like we talked about, kind of just being that expression of liberty and just kind of so um, I don't know. I can't. I feeling confined, and again, this is a two-way street. The men are in their own stories too. Okay, I've like Eliza and I realized we were just talking about it recently. Like there's this, and we won't go into the specifics here, but there's a dynamic that we've had for decades now, and we realized that we had a click just recently that her take on what I was doing and my take on what she was doing were so not what was going on, and yet we were responding and hurting at a certain level. And then yesterday, uh, I mean, I guess I can explore it. We can edit it out if it doesn't feel appropriate. Um, Let me just look at it this way. Let's say that there's something about taking out the trash, okay, or being helpful around the house. Um,
Trash is good. That's a good place to start.
right,
Safe.
right, right.
Every day.
Uh,
Yeah.
and let's say that there's something around, like if someone were being judged by their parent, and the parent were disapproving. So I'm not. This could be either spouse or couple, where if they have disapproving parents, where sometimes you can never do enough,
Hmm.
uh, and so if one of the spouses feels that the trash being 75% full is their kind of subconscious limit of, man, this person's not doing their job, and they just go do it. And then the other person feels that 90%, but they don't know it. It's just like, wow, you can still put like, you know, a pizza box in it or something. Um, and uh, that person can feel that the other person disapproved and actually disallowed the opportunity to have a win by taking the trash out, which can be a disappointment and a drop of, man, I was going to take the trash out, but it got taken out. And so one could perceive that as the other person's disappointed and feel they had to do it for you, when it was actually just a matter of the levels of what we felt the trash was. It could be something completely as simple as that, where the one person feels someone's not being helpful and they have to do it themselves, and the other person goes, "Wow, I thought I could be a hero and do that, but it got done." And both people feel hurt by the other person, and it has nothing to do with each other. Has
Hmm.
nothing to do with each other. And it often is related to your parental relationships. A lot of the work that we've done to help our relationships has been reflecting on the incompletions we have with our parents and
Mm.
the stories we carry about our parents, and how our partner very much reflects that. A lot of people say, um, you complete me. Jerry Maguire. Was it Jerry Maguire? You complete me.
I think so.
Was it Jerry Maguire?
I think
Or
so.
you had me at yes, where your partner completes you, and in a way, your partner incompletes you, and it brings your incompletions right to the surface that you have often in your family situations. So that's the first place to look for the internal work. before you, well, not before you, but if you want to then have a wholesome, you know, it doesn't have to be partnership. There's friendship. Like you see this with friendships. It doesn't even have to be related to a marital situation. You know, you have those friends who, they kind of weave in and out of your life, and then you have like a, what happened there? And you realize, oh, I got you all wrong 20 years ago. I thought you were an asshole. You were actually trying to help me. I was like, totally. Right? And so there's so much
Yeah.
misperception that happens that it's really hilarious. It's a big comedy.
Assumptions. Yeah. And that's painful. Yeah. So those kind of things happen. I talk about the trash all the time, and
The
how someone
trash.
can ask for help. Uh-huh.
You think I should
It's
go
it's
look at the
as
trash? You think we should go look at the trash right now and see where we are? Shall we?
well
Shall we?
here.
Over
So,
there.
Paresh,
I think I'll get in
who takes out the do you have do you have jobs at your house? Do you take out the trash? Does she take it out, or is it like when it's full, someone takes it out?
We when it's full, someone takes it out.
Okay.
When it's full, someone takes it out. And then
But
we
in
kind of
your marriage,
gravitate to certain things that it's like, yeah, I'll do that. She does that. Um,
okay.
so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard,
It's like we
especially
don't
being
have like
married
a
for so
checklist.
long.
I tried to do a checklist thing once, twice, three times. I was actually just listening to Lionel Richie at the beach when I was surfing. The group right next to me, this little pod of people had their music blasting and they were playing Lionel Richie and they were singing. So we were all singing Lionel Richie on the beach. Um, and the how do I get on to Lionel Richie?
I don't know. I was waiting for the
The
answer.
no, it has something to do with so we kind of
The
gravitate to these
to-do
things.
list. The
Yeah, yeah, oh
checklist.
yeah, exactly. So I try to implement that. We have four children,
It's a
and
lot.
it's a lot. My wife is incredible. Um, and so I
And
was
that,
like,
did you
we
hear
should
what you
have
just
like a,
said? You said your wife is incredible. Do you
she's
say that to her?
incredible. Yeah, I tell her.
Do you, do you tell her that?
Mm, I tell her
That's
that.
good.
Yeah, yeah, I do tell her. Yeah.
And do men is that something men in your group say that my wife is constantly complimenting me? Or is it, I don't hear those things?
It's often that. It's often that
What?
from
Wow.
uh, the need for affirmation runs high in people. The need for affirmation. And, there's the whole love languages thing. Um, like, what are your love languages?
Mine?
Words of affirmation, acts of service,
Yours?
and physical touch. No, you.
Oh,
What
me,
are yours?
I am time. Time, time, time.
Acts of
And
service. Time. Right. Okay.
time.
Time. Yeah.
I only have one. I just
You only
want to
have one
spend time with,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
that is like,
beautiful.
I don't need gifts. I just want someone to hang out with me.
Right? How beautiful is that? Right? It's
It's
simple.
just,
It's
I just want
simple.
to, I love hanging out.
You know what? A friend of mine, our friends, they live right down here on Bruce's Beach. Uh, there's this thing called, it's like the Experience Dome or something. Have you heard of this thing up in LA where there's like this dome and you basically go in this huge dome and they have these big beanbag chairs in there and they play like all this they have like these psychedelic lights all over the dome and they have like a live band playing Pink Floyd and it's like one of those places. It's called like the Experience Dome or something, and you just veg out, like right. You just want to spend time with someone, so you just go
Yeah.
there and just lounge in the beanbag chair and
Yeah.
chill out. So
So
yeah, so like the
do
love
you,
languages is an important thing that like it's still a revolution to realize. Oh, that's why doing the dishes is so important to
makes my
you.
wife want to have sex with me? Right?
It's like you realize that these things matter, and when you tune in better, and I'm not saying I'm 100% tuned in, but I've learned, like for instance, the way that you put the spoon in matters to
Spoon in
whether the
what?
thing into the dishwasher, our dishwasher, the knives. If you don't put the knives in a certain way, they don't get clean.
How did you learn that?
I finally freaking listened to what like she remind I finally was like, let me just do what she suggests so she doesn't have to repeat this for the umpteenth millionth time and just do it that way. And then make sure I put the bowls in this way, even though, duh, they'll clean. And it makes all the
The
difference.
difference.
It makes all the difference because
Did
you're respecting the person's, and she's not being like controlling to go, the knives go that way. She's right. It's the only way to put the knives in to they get clean without them cutting the bottom of the little utensil thing from shaking and they end up sawing the thing in half. So you realize, yeah, I don't know. These acts of service, very important.
yeah.
Walking the
Is
dog.
that yeah.
I'm not so much acts of service. I'm not so much stuff. And so I don't know. So yeah, your time. Time. Are you in a relationship? All right.
Yes. I've been married 23 years. A long
That's
time.
awesome. There you
I have
go.
3 kids. It's so funny you don't know that, but how would you know that? Which I think is so funny that I knew nothing about you and we're doing this. And I'm so grateful.
This is fun. This is just plunging right in, right? It's
Yeah,
just
because
plunge
it's
in
it's
and
like
see what
it's like a
happens.
blind date, and a blind date for how's our time? I don't want to get in trouble. I
I
think
don't
we're
know. I don't know.
I don't know what
I'm
time we
good. I'm
started.
good.
All right, so I think we
Um,
can get to the end here. So, Paresh, you're an amazing person, and I totally respect you. Oh, that's a question. So, what can a woman do to show a man she respects him?
again, I don't want to make generalizations about women or men, but what can
But
people
just because
do
I have
to
listening ears and they ask these questions, they're like, well, how can I show him I respect him? What do I need to do? How will he feel respected? Any thoughts? I'm just curious because you're a man.
when you get an attaboy, when you get a man, you're the man.
Mm,
It's really good. You're the
that's kind of
man.
cool.
It's really good. It's really good. It's like it's a gummy bear. It's yummy. It's yummy. Yeah.
I
It's like
like gummy
yeah.
bears too.
Yeah. It's like yeah. You know what? Great job. That was hard for you. You know, and getting that like for instance, we uh, Eliza doesn't go to the beach as much because she has fair skin like you, and the sun doesn't agree with her as much, and um, like I came home the other day and she was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I caught the best wave of my life. I caught the best. God bless you. 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 God bless you."
Sorry.
That's all right. It's
You
it's
caught the best wave of your life?
I caught the best wave of my life. I did. It was 3 days ago. I caught the best wave of my life, and it was she knows how, like I'm hurt right now. That's why I'm in my wetsuit because I couldn't get home fast enough to change. Um, and so it was like that takes a lot of getting mangled. Uh, it takes a lot of showing up. It's a lot of fun. Um, it was scary because there was a I've never been on such a drop where below my board is only air for a long time. And it was just I was just dancing. And um, while she hasn't been there watching me paddle and surf and start from like the little baby Costco board, up to El Porto, um, I mean, today's pretty gnarly out there. It's pretty gnarly. Um, and even though she hasn't kind of been there, like my surfer friends were like, "Yo, I saw you carry that barrel." There's an acknowledgement of, you know what, you're showing up. You love it. You're showing up, and that takes that's like an attaboy, man. You showed up and you're like top in your game, top in your game. Even if you're not sharing and participating in the same game, the top your game and the yeah, or like when I play my guitar, um, part of why I go, to the workspace late at night is I can blast it. I have to blast the music to really feel into it, and I have that freedom there. And I really like to. um, one of the bands I play in, they're really excellent virtuoso players, and they invite me to be a guest guitarist and singer sometimes. And so I'll do the same song like a million times. I think you saw me one night when I was practicing because
I did.
I want to show up. Like you got to show up like solid with what you are. And uh, and she, she heard me, in the house, again, I'm playing that Judas Priest thing again and again and again. And then, when she came to a show at Redondo Pier, you know, like she was there. She was there. She was like the fan. She was like the one, and you could see that she knows that my fingers were bleeding to do that, and she was like, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. It's a great ass
Yeah,
feeling.
that's awesome. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
Nope. Am I
Uh-oh.
frozen?
Yeah,
Am I
someone
frozen?
was frozen. Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. It sounds like you guys have a good relationship, and it sounds like you take care of it, and it sounds like you guys are
We
really in
work on
tune.
it. We
Yeah,
work. Well,
which is
that's that personal work, right? It's the personal work. It really gets back to the personal work, the personal stories, and really the examination on both parts, all parts, and it's a continuous. There's no like one midlife crisis, by the way. It's a continuous evolution. Like the idea that someone's going to have one midlife crisis is flawed and set up for disaster. We are evolution. We're always cocoon, butterfly,
constantly
wings,
changing.
constantly changing, and it's new stuff comes. And so,
And so how
yeah, I love the
do,
work that you're doing to help
ha-
these people.
thank you, but how do two people who are constantly changing stay in tune with each other so that they keep connecting back? How do you, what
What do you recommend to your clients? What do you do with your husband?
spend a lot of time staring and listening and paying attention and being quiet. Because when you're quiet, the other person's able to speak and then they feel like they have a voice and then you can find out things. And there's two things that I think are the most important thing. It's love and understanding. And you
Mm,
can't understand someone if you're always talking. So if you shut up and listen, the other person feels heard. I mean, how many
hmm.
times have you ever had a conversation where someone just sat like this and listen to you for like 20, 30 minutes, you feel really good.
You
And you
feel
feel,
gotten. You feel
yeah,
gotten.
you feel
Yeah.
someone understands you. And that's how affairs start because someone's talking and they feel lonely and they're not getting what they want and all these things are wrong in their life and they're sad and there's someone going,
And someone's there for them. Hmm.
someone thinks they're amazing for just a
Mm.
second. And that
Right? Right. That's that
sparks their
thing.
interest. Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
Listening is very,
it's
it's
underused.
underutilized. Right? We
Hmm.
just said it. Same time.
Same time.
The same time.
That's why
It's
I
under.
like you, my friend.
We're
I
tuned in.
connect with you.
We're tuned in. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's very underutilized, and I must say, 'cause we do a lot of corporate training around how do you have great workplace culture and how do we deal with all this overwhelm and everyone quitting and not caring and how do you build teams that rock and that care and um, so we give skills for like how do we be compassionate leaders because that's what everyone needs now. This whole way of leading has shifted from that command and control, militaristic, you work for me, I pay you, shut up, do the work, stick you in the box. No one responds to that anymore. And pandemic has really, had people examine their own personal liberties and what they enjoy. And, do I want to drive for 2 hours and be in a cube and work for someone who I don't share values with? And so it's completely resetting right now. And um, given what people have been through with the pandemic, especially compassion's so important everywhere at work, in the household. And the first thing, as you said, Laurie, is listening. If you can't listen, if you don't listen to someone, you can't know where they're coming from. You can't walk in their shoes. You can't feel what they're feeling. And listening we have been taught historically in our businesses and our leadership models um, to be command and control, tell people what to do, very kind of predator prey oriented, hunt for customers, capture recruits. So a lot of the societal organizational norms have come from the militaristic model of how you lead, motivate, and get throughput out of people. And that's largely been a male patriarchal construct of how to move organizations forward. And that is actually crumbling as we
Mm,
speak,
yeah,
crumbling.
I can see
And what
that.
Eliza and I, we run a company, Eliza's the CEO of it. It's called Lifter Leadership. And it's really about how do we shift our way of thinking to this next evolution from that hunter, predator, taking, transactional um, model to one that's more about what you would, what you do and what you are. You don't need to hunt for customers. You actually attract. You don't need to like maximize revenue. You just need to serve and inspire and lift people. And so this is this whole new evolution, and people are like, wow, we need to shift. And this listening, we teach four types of listening. It's the new superpower because we've been taught that your job as a leader is to come up with the idea, tell people what to do, speak, 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 tell, PowerPoint, um, and think. And that's now shifting completely to listen, feel, compassion, co-create rather than command. And so it's a whole new model.
Is that the for listening?
So there's four types of listening that we teach our clients, and these are really superpowers, Laurie. They're really superpowers because, as we were saying earlier, we've been taught to tell people what to do, like boss people around, is from that militaristic model, and that applies not only at work, but in the household. Like the leader of the house, has to be show up in a certain way. It's what we've been the stories we've been told about what it means to be, responsible and all of that, and so that is shifting where the listening is way, way, way more important. So there's listening in silence, the four types of listening in silence, which is everyone needs some sort of practice where they can just still their mind, be in nature, quiet, tune out all of these inputs of other people's thoughts. And so that can be, for me, it's surfing, it can be prayer, meditation. And for you, it's working out, right? Where you're in the zone. So the first one is listening in silence to your own self and just being that space and watching your thoughts without listening to your thoughts and logging in, as we talked about. Just watching and just listening in silence. Number two is listening to your body. Your body is the new dashboard. A lot of my corporate clients, I say, you're really good at these corporate dashboards, profitability, customers, loyalty, churn. These are all business metrics and dashboards that are thinking oriented. There's a whole other dashboard now as human beings that we need to tap into, which is our body dashboard, which will tell us, does this feel right? I got a hunch. And we have these different intelligences that extend beyond our head and thinking intelligence, which is that old model, into our heart intelligence, which is our intuition, our creativity, our patience, our compassion. So we teach our clients and my coaching folks, how do we tune into that? So that's your body. Listening to your body is the second one. The third one is listening to other people. And that's something that, again, a lot of people are challenged with. And if I were to generalize, I would say men haven't been conditioned to be good listeners because we've been taught to win by speaking and dominating in this old kind of outgoing model. And so uh, listening to other people, even a lot of the training around listening to other people is flawed. Like they say, nod your head, make eye contact. Oh, so this is what I thought you said. So even the good doobies who want to be good listeners, they're actually reading old books and watching old ways of what like, listening is really being present, just being present. So that's the third one is listening to the other person. And the fourth one is speaking into the listening of the other person. And that's what we were talking about, where someone's just speaking to you and you're like, oh my God, I was just asking that question myself this morning, and this person completely, she's speaking directly to me. It could be an audience of
Yeah.
5,000 people, and that person, they can it's possible to basically multi-broadcast. We are energetic beings, so each person's getting a direct broadcast. Like I've been with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. a few times. And like he's speaking, like I'm like, oh my God, I was just talking about whatever, rose petals and something. And then he goes, life is a rose petal. And you know that that person is locked in. They're tuned in with you. And that's the superpower is when you speak what they're thinking, or you have them actually go, oh my God, this is exactly for me, because you're so attuned through your silent listening. You're listening to your body to go, am I really being present? Am I thinking about what I'm going to say? Am I listening to the person? And then you'll be able to speak their truth because it's your truth. It's one truth. It's all the same.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's, and men in particular are challenged. So we teach men how to listen, because compassion is the name of the game if you want to be a winner in business these days. Compassion, compassion, compassion. People have been through a lot. They've had a lot of people die. They've had people sick. They've had to make financial adjustments to their livelihoods. You've had your clients go through these marital breakups. They've had businesses that have been affected. So there's a lot of stress and overwhelm. And so we have to we teach our clients how to mindfully love each other, love themselves first, love themselves, love their business, love their team, so their team cares and they don't quit. Everyone's quitting right now because they're like tired. They want to do something meaningful. And then listening. So listening is really the new superpower.
So
So with
Parish,
that, yes,
if someone wants to get a hold of you, how could they
yeah,
do that?
sure.
Like if they want your services to help them with their
Oh yeah,
business.
you can just email me at Paresh at Lifters Rising. We are lifters. The idea is basically be a lifter as a family member. Like lift your family as a leader, lift your coworkers, lift your customers, lift your community, like you're doing. And as a result, you actually lift your performance in whatever you're doing, and that's what we're about. So Paresh at liftersrising.com, Lifters rising.com. So because we're all lifters, like you, Laurie, we're rising, right? We're lifters, we're rising. And the whole aim, as you're doing, is you're lifting these people who have been, affected by their spouse leaving, and you're lifting them by helping them lift themselves, be worthy of receiving the love that everyone is,
That we
it's
desperately
there,
need.
and it's there. So,
Yeah.
or you can, so Paresh at liftersrising.com. Our website's liftersrising.com, or just call me
Okay.
424-362-3083. If you're a friend of Laurie's, maybe we can surf, maybe we can have a two
Listen,
guns coffee.
some people who talk with me are in Africa or Sri Lanka. I have people all over the world. So you're hitting them too. So Presh, I adore you. I can't wait to meet your wife one day.
Oh yeah,
And I am so grateful you took time out of
right.
your life in
Oh, my
such pain
pleasure.
that you are from
Oh my
surfing
gosh,
today
it's just
to be
just
here
showing
today. So thank
just
you.
be just showing off,
Thank
dudes.
you.
Sometimes we dudes have to show off to feel like we're and sometimes we get a little bit hurt, but we have our little hypervolt to go when we're done. Okay, be well, take care.
You're
God
awesome.
bless. All right,
Thank you.
see ya.
So that was awesome. Paresh is such a wonderful guy, and most men are, but we just have to bring that special thing out of them. So I'm Lori. I'm with thewifeexpert.com. If you have anyone that you think would be great on the show, let me know. Email me at thewifeexpert@gmail.com, or you can call my cell phone 310-374-7777. Text me there or leave me a message. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you in the future.